Hi guys, welcome to Full Time Devils. I'm Adam McCullough. We are outside Old Trafford. I'm here with Howson, Gaz and Hayley. We're previewing the Manchester United vs Club Brugge game. It's on Wednesday. United are leading 3-1. And after the disappointing performance against Newcastle, we hope to get back to winning ways. A man that wants to see us get back to winning ways, and hopefully because he's scoring, is Wayne Rooney. Another goalless game for him at the weekend. What did you make of his performance, and do you think he should start against Brugge?
I think he's going to start, isn't he? Because we don't really have a lot of options. Whether Hernandez would start, I think it's probably unlikely. It's got to get better. It really does need to improve. I think I mentioned before, the issue is whether it's a lack of service. He's dropping very deep. His first touch hasn't been great, and it's 3 games now where he just hasn't been up to scratch. And I think this season, if we are going to kind of compete at all in general for trophies, not just for the league, he needs to be up and running. And I kind of thought the Newcastle game at the weekend, he would be a big opportunity because he's got a good record against Newcastle. I thought that would be a good chance for him to get a couple of goals, and sadly I think he was poor again. He struggled to get into it. He had a couple of decent passes, but we should have had him, somebody clinical in the box, not out near the halfway line, someone clinical in the box, putting his head or getting on the end of a ball, and unfortunately he's not doing that. So it is pretty worrying at the minute, actually.
Gaz, I'm going to come to you next. He scored a goal which is disallowed wrongly for offside on the weekend. Now, if that stood, do you think that could have been the goal to get him ticking? Do you think it's just the case that he needs a goal to get going? Or is it something more to worry about?
I think there is something to worry about. And I was his biggest advocate earlier on this season, saying, look, he deserves 5 stars. He's our captain. Rooney is class. But in those 4 games, I was so sure that he'd come good at some point. And he's just offered almost nothing at times. However, the Brugge game, it's a game that it's not already won, obviously. But against that opposition, they looked really poor when we played them at Old Trafford. So maybe this is Rooney's chance to get a couple of goals and hopefully get his season up and running. And I at the minute, though, I don't know whether he can. I don't know whether he is still this class striker.
Would you put him in the 11 on Wednesday? And do you think it's just a case that Rooney, once he gets a goal, he'll be all right?
I'm not sure if getting a goal is going to be enough for him, because I think he has slipped down in the rankings. He's slipped down in ability, and despite all of that, he plays on Wednesday for me. There's not going to be any other options that are coming in ahead of him. People saying give Wilson a chance and this, that and the other. I am a massive Wilson fan, but you've got to remember the level that we're playing at. Rooney being off the boil at 80% is still better than a hell of a lot of the strikers in the world. And all right, he's not taking those chances at the moment, and he doesn't look like he's at the races, and he might well be past it, but he's still an absolute killer of a player. And when you're going into Europe and you've got to go into an away tie, and it's an important game like this where if we lose 2-0 we're out, you start Wayne Rooney, because Wayne Rooney's not going to allow his team to lose 2-0 in this sort of situation, and you go with the most experienced side that you can. And for me, that's the reason I'll be putting him in my 11.
A lot of people have been talking about the transfer window. We've got X amount of days to bring in this player, that player. I don't want anyone to talk about signings off the cards. This is the Bruges preview. Is there anybody from within the squad that can come in and improve what we have at the moment?
Hernandez. I think that if we had Hernandez up front with Rooney playing behind him, when he's come on the past 2 games, he's looked impressive, he's looked lively, he's offered a bit of movement, which is more than what can be said for Rooney. And I tell you what, Rooney against Newcastle actually looked better when he was playing behind him. So maybe it could be good for both players, and it'll be a bit of a throwback, to be honest. But I'd start Hernandez as well.
Anyone you bring in from the squad?
Yeah, I got to agree with Gaz. I think Hernandez looked pretty good against Bruges in the previous game in the home tie. Whether he'll start, I don't know. It might be a case where you need your captain. I can't see him being dropped. Is someone like Pereira an option? I mean, he's quite young. It's the same with Wilson. They're young players. They've not got sort of Champions League experience, so it might just be a bit too far for them. I think, we're kind of our attacking options are a little bit limited. Memphis was absolutely brilliant in the first part of the tie against Bruges, but against Newcastle he struggled a little bit. But we can't expect him to go out there and pull off 2 goals and an assist every week. He's still young, he's still raw, so we've got to be patient with that. So I think at the minute we're going to have to be patient and see what Rooney's going to do. You know, it's been 3 games, see if he can improve and.
Basically, Hayley's crying out to say we need to sign a striker, but you know you've been banned from saying that. Howson.
Under Herrera. End of story. You put Ander Herrera into that team and everything goes up a couple of gears. There's more speed. Him and Mata, like I said the other day, together they're greater than the sum of their parts. Him and Herrera both go up a couple of levels when they're playing together. I don't want to drop Rooney because... not Rooney, sorry. I don't want to drop Januzaj because I think he's been good. Today he looked really bright. He actually showed a lot of strength against Newcastle, but Ander Herrera is going to take this to the next level, and I go with Herrera behind Rooney, and I think we see a much more creative Manchester United.
Go on.
I agree, and the only reason I didn't say Herrera is because Van Gaal says he won't play him in that number 10. He won't play him in that number 10 role, and I don't want to drop Schweinsteiger and Sneijder, and it's difficult.
We played there against Villa, so he did play him there against Villa, so maybe there's a chance that he'll bring him into that sort of role. We'll have to see.
I think if Herrera does get a start anytime soon, he's going to be in place of Mata.
Yeah,
Which is a worry.
I think he prefers...
While you're at it, guys, can you give me your first 11, please?
I can do when I get my phone out. I get the feeling that Van Gaal prefers Herrera as a...
I wasn't going to ask you for yours, but go on. While Gaz looks.
While Gaz is messing around as usual, I'm going to go exactly the same as today, apart from what I've just said, which is Januzaj, come and have a rest, Herrera in there, and let's create some stuff.
I like your team, Howson. Go on.
Same back four.
Got a nice little picture.
Same
there.
goalie. It's good, isn't it? It's a really good app.
Can you read it out for the people at home? They can't see your phone,
Well,
guys.
I'm saying same back four.
Yeah,
same back four
Read
to
it
the
out.
Newcastle game.
All of it.
Darmian, Smalling, Blint, Shaw, centre mids, Schneidlin and Herrera. Even though I have a feeling that Van Gaal prefers him as a number 10, I want to see him playing centre mid. I've got Memphis on the left, Mata on the right, Rooney playing behind Hernandez.
Hayley, what did you make of those teams, and what would you change? What's yours?
You've got to go with the same. You've got to go with, obviously, Romero's going to be in goal, Darmian, Smalling, Blint, Shaw. I want to see Schweinsteiger back in the midfield along with Schneiderlin, and the front three. You're going to have Rooney's going to play Memphis. Whether Herrera, I mean, and this is a big if I thought Van Gaal would play Herrera number 10, then great. I actually agree with Howson, but I don't think he will, and I think if it's a case of Januzaj or playing Ashley Young, for example, then I would stick with Januzaj rather than the likes of Young. But I just think that I don't think he's going to play Herrera in that number 10 role.
So basically, you hate Ashley Young. Basically, that's what Hayley said. We're almost done, but before we get to predictions, I want to know: was there anybody from the opposition or anything from the opposition that you think we should be worried about for the game on Wednesday?
They didn't. I would expect a completely different sort of setup from Bruges. In the home game, for us, they was clearly coming to nick a goal and hope to keep the score as low as possible. They didn't really venture past the halfway line, and when they did, it was sort of quite direct when they did. Obviously not a massive Belgian football watcher, but I would have thought that I would have thought that at home they're going to at least go for it a little bit more. They've got to go and try and come out with a couple of goals. So if they come out with a couple of goals, or at least trying to get a couple of goals, they might leave some space, and we might look a bit more creative just because they're taking more chances than they did in the home game.
Cheers, Dale Winton.
I want that clip of Howson saying, yeah, I know, just vined because it was the campest thing I've ever heard in my life. What's the question?
I know you don't know anything. I know you don't know anything about.
I know. Bruges, right? They had the big lad up front. He looked like he's got a lot of pace. That's always a problem. Smalling, the lad who came on, Smalling had him in his back pocket though, so I'm not too scared about him. What I am scared about is that their atmosphere, I'm sure, will be incredible because they made a lot of noise when they were here at Old Trafford, and of course, towards the top of their league, they've got a winning mentality at their ground. That's always a problem, but United should be able to deal with it.
Guys didn't know what he was talking about then. Go ahead.
Yep. What are we going to say about Bruges? It's a Champions League game. It's an away time. There's no easy ties away from home in the Champions League. So just win.
What's your score prediction?
I'm going to go for what's realistic rather than what I actually want. I think realistically 1-1. What?
Alison said 0-0.
I think realistically 0-0 looking at that. I I know. I can see us probably getting one, but 1-0, 0-0 at the moment. Without
0-0. Are the three teams playing?
1-0 or 0-0.
Okay, cool.
I think they're going to go gung-ho at us and we're just going to destroy him. I think we'll win about 4-1. Genuinely.
4-1. I'm going 2-1 United, us to go behind. Yeah, that should do, innit? Yeah.
That'll do.
Yeah. We're going to win, though, and go through. Anyway, guys, let us know your thoughts on the teams that we're playing. Who's in your 11? Which of the opposition should we be worried about? What is your score prediction? Put it down there below. Abuse Gaz as well, please. I'm Adam McCullough. We're all out of
He's
here.
out of here.